Okay, this video is going to be mostly just about cleaning up my pot and then showing you guys how to add a handle and how to add a spout. If you're doing a tall one, that could be a small water pitcher, something you'd want to pour out of. You can create a spout. You don't have to do that, but so after you've had one day, this should be a little less squishy. If it's still really, really squishy, like you touch it and your finger leaves a dent, there's a blow dryer up by the whiteboard where our agenda is written, and you can just take it up there and blow dry it for a minute or so, and that'll help harden it and stiffen it so that you can work with it a little bit better. Definitely when you go to get your rib out, if it has a lot of dry clay on it, make sure that you wipe the dry clay off, because that'll leave marks on your pot, and the whole idea is that we kind of want to try to make our pot smooth. But I'm actually going to talk about that during this video as well. Maybe you're not going to have a smooth exterior for your pot. Maybe you were having some issues and the exterior of your pot is really uneven. One way that I have, one of my tricks for that I found, if you have a very uneven pot, then just embrace that and make your pot uneven on purpose. Maybe you want to give it some texture. I also want you to know that the inside of your pot matters too. So you should be going in and trying to smooth out the inside. You can use these long wooden tools, like this flat area of that wooden knife. Works really nice for reaching down inside. Anywhere that you can see, guys, that's part of your design. You want that to look nice. We also really want to make sure, especially if it's a cup, that it has a nice lip. This is called the lip. Think about how it would feel if you were drinking out of that. If it's really, really thick, that's not going to feel very good on your mouth when you go to drink out of it. So you want to maybe place your hand here to support it, get your fingers a little bit wet, and start to try to thin out that lip and smooth it out. We really want to make sure that it has a nice, round, even, smooth lip. Some of you, I noticed, had some unevenness going on. We're gonna need to use this knife today and try and cut that unevenness off. Right here, I actually have, this is too thick, so I'm gonna take this knife and very carefully cut a little bit of clay off, because I'm trying to even that out. And then I'm gonna take my finger and I'm gonna try to blend that cut so that we can't tell, so it's nice and smooth. Now, we should be going around all of the edges of our pot and smoothing it. If you're wanting a very smooth exterior, smoothing it out with our finger. You can smooth it with the sponge, you guys, but do not have a lot of water in the sponge. Squeeze it so that most of the water is out. If you're putting a lot of water on the exterior of your pot, it's gonna get really slimy, and we don't want that. We don't want your pot to be slimy. It'll eventually start to get over waterlogged, and it can start to crumble, basically, and that's not something that we want to happen. I noticed I had a little dent in there, so I was just sticking my hand in and fixing that dent. And I'm still being gentle with the pot, but it's not quite as fragile as it was on the first day that I made it. Okay, let's talk about if you have a very uneven pot, maybe it doesn't look super pretty. You could create some kind of texture on the outside of your pot. So there's some different things you could do. Maybe you want to create a texture with the fork. Now remember, we are going to be putting illustrations on this, so you might want to leave, an area. So if I'm going to create a texture, but I know my illustration is going to go right here, and maybe I'm going to put one more illustration on this side. So I'm going to outline that area as well. And then I'll add the texture to those areas later, but we don't want to create texture and then be trying, so let me hold that up so you can see. I just put an outline of where my illustration is going to be. I don't want to try to have to draw my illustration on top of a texture, excuse me. So a fork could be a great way for creating texture. So I could have my exterior of my pot intentionally looking very ridged, almost like scored. And this could create for a very nice, pretty exterior. And it could feel really nice in your hand too. So if you guys want to see what that looks like a little closer, I'm just scratching up and scoring up the side, and I'm gonna leave it like that. So then the exterior of my pot is gonna have this bumpy, ridged texture. I'm going all the way around, and this will help hide imperfections. So if you have a lot of imperfections, which, you know what, we're learning here, you'll get better as you work with clay more. You'll start to get used to the way it feels, but this is a good way to kind of hide some of those lumps and imperfections. So I'm just adding that texture all around it. Maybe you don't like the fork texture and you want to do something else. You could use your wooden knife, and you could do like lines going up with the wooden knife. You could do maybe like a zigzag texture going down the sides. Just think about what you want to do and have a plan for that. You guys can also alter the shape of your cup. Maybe you want to very gently have your cup have some intentional indentations on it. So you're gonna put some, you know, a little pressure with your finger in different areas. You can do that. Is it locked? Okay, hang on. You guys said you were going to Mr. Why is there so many kids in there?
Because they want to play Mario Kart.
Okay.
It's like 25 kids in there.
That sounds terrible. What? I am. It's not gonna, the sound is not gonna work anymore because I had to stop, but.
You can edit it out.
Yeah, but I don't have time to do that before my class that comes in an hour.
You still need help with the drawing, or you can do that? Oh, okay, you erased it.
But yeah, well, at the toe it's like this. Well, that was you who said your aunt had me on. You told me earlier, Brandon.
Oh, so you can help.
Like this whole thing.
You need help. Did you put the, grass wheel?
Oh, he's in there? I got math next up is, oh my God. I'll see you guys.
Bye. Look, you too.
Did Maya find you guys?
She went back upstairs.
Into Mr. Horwath's room?
No, she's in driving the right now.
Oh, okay. Yes? Your what?
No, I see.
Oh, I can give it to you, yeah, in a minute. Let me finish this.
Oh, so you want to do that? This? But not, I need, you got to